Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Executive Chairman and CEO of Colony Capital, Thomas J. Barrack Jr., and his panelists, Gianni Infantino and Fernando Solichin.
Good afternoon, ahlan wa sahlan, and thank you all for staying. We anticipated that we might have a lesser crowd, so Johnny has volunteered. Everybody who stayed gets 1 week World Cup front row seats, and Fernando has offered Angelina Jolie for dinner to all of you who have stayed. But in all seriousness, I want to thank Jared and Secretary Mnuchin and all of the amazing people in Bahrain and Richard for organizing this. It's a tremendous step forward. And Jared, in finding 3 perfect heads that could do this portion together was pretty amazing. But what we're going to focus on is something different, an epic economic program, such as the one that Jared and Secretary Mnuchin have put together, requires global investors, global economists, and the dignitaries that you've had here today. And that has been epic. And those are the foundational bricks that are necessary to build prosperity and along the road to peace. But those bricks need mortar. They need glue. And what we're going to focus on today with 2 of the great leaders is that glue. How do we create heroes? How do we take emotion? How do we meld the borders between tribes and boundaries? And football and film have been the 2 roads to do that. Johnny doesn't need an introduction. All of you know him as one of the global leaders of how to disintegrate those walls. Football transcends politics, it transcends religion, it transcends boundaries. Fernando, the same issue. Film creates heroes. It vanishes victims. It puts the past behind us and creates hope and expectations and a vision of the future. We in the Arab world have one major problem. We do not create our own heroes. We just don't. So the image of an Arab all over the world is a problem because it's our problem. We've done a very bad job of banding together and creating for that youth heroes, models, vision. So today, we're going to start with that, and Johnny, we're going to start with you. So in thinking through the amazing career that you've had and the phenomenal, unbelievable transpiration that's occurred with you, starting with something like Mohamed Salah, now gleaning 450 million Arabs behind Liverpool, which was originally a Protestant English team. How does it work? What is it about football that transcends all these boundaries?
Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation. Thanks to Jared, to everyone for setting this up. And just one note, for the translation, when I speak about football, I mean soccer, right, for the Americans. So
there's only 2 of them here. So. Okay.
just to be very clear, but yes, you're right. I mean, there is a magic with this game. There is a magic with this ball. There is a particular power that transcends not only boundaries, but the whole humanity. We have today half of the world, 4 billion people, who stopped to watch the World Cup last year in Russia. Half of the population of the world is watching football. We are here in Bahrain, and you mentioned rightly Mohamed Salah. He's Egyptian, so he's African. He's not Asian. Bahrain is Asia. The Emirates, Saudi, Qatar is all Asia, but they are all fans of Mohamed Salah and of Liverpool, suddenly, because he's Arab. So this is, I would say, somehow a hero of our modern society, thanks to football. And this can help indeed to bring people together around the game, around the match, around an emotion, around a dream. And that's what we have to give to people as well, right? Hope, dream, and a smile.
Well, you've done an amazing job of it. Fernando, film, and you and I were talking earlier about what can happen when you evaporate the victim, when you create a vision of heroes, and even at the moment you may not realize what's in front of you. Using what you did with Spike Lee and Malcolm X as an example 28 years ago, leading to the Black Panther today. What did you see then? How does that relate to where we are now and hope and aspirations?
First, it's amazing what I saw, that people from being in a place of victims passed to be leaders. And now you have the entertainment industry in the US. Hits, like the biggest hit last year was Black Panther, leading the African American community with dignity and not just being misrepresented as other people wanted to be represented. And I think that in this region, this can happen, and it will happen, because we need to stop the victimization and create a new narrative for the region and a new narrative for Palestinians that makes them look like the intelligent population that they are, full of culture, but we need to start telling new stories. Communications go faster and better than politics. Politics, we need to leave them aside. If not, we're never going to move forward to really create a stable place. And I saw it, I saw it with the African American culture. I saw it, in many places in South America. We need to change the rhetoric, and this is really possible. And the peace proposal and this workshop is really enhanced possibility. We need to start by creating a new communications narrative.
So communications, which now has become epic. It's these little phones have created a data environment rather than an experience environment. But the one thing that both of you share is experience. So what they can't feel on that phone, what they can't feel on the iPad is that experience. Football is so tribal. It's a form of war, yet it's a form of melding. How do you navigate the politics of what you've now created on a worldwide basis? Because even being here, I imagine, causes a little bit of emotional trauma for you.
Oh yes, because football generates emotions, generates passion, and when you speak about any topic and you touch football, then suddenly you touch national pride, you touch your heart, your flag, your feeling, and obviously all this creates debate and discussion. But I think the key there is to have a line, to treat everyone as FIFA president and in FIFA, of course, in the same way. For FIFA, we have 211 member countries all around the world. Palestine is one, Israel is one, the US is one, Russia is another one. Even Scotland is a country for FIFA. But everyone plays in the same competition with the same rights, with the same obligations, with the same laws of the game that they have to respect. And I think this is the beginning, because it's true that top football, the World Cup and so on, is also entertainment, right? It is also emotion, but our job is to use the power of top football to help and generate football across the world. And this, I think, is something that we are doing already in Palestine with the help of the Palestinian Football Association, who is doing a great job there, but much more can be done. And with football, through football, we can really help and build bridges and give hope and leisure to many, many kids, concretely, not only on their phones.
Besides that, in addition to breaking boundaries, you also create relationships. I think you met Lena, your Lebanese wife, by the way. He's well-versed in the art of negotiation with 4 daughters. But across all those boundaries, the The same thing with film. Again, creating a hero, if you look at Palestinians, what heroes do they have? How do you create a hero? How do you create an understanding of those bricks, the brilliant foundational program that Jared has put together? Underneath it is too complicated for that 50% of the youthful population to understand. How do you create a vision for them?
First, everyone is a hero. And there is a lot of common stories that I'm sure the Palestinian population have that are beautiful to be seen in the big screen, in TV series, either in video games, that they don't have to be related to politics, to blood culture, or to death, or to past. And, even children, a football story in Palestinian, like a heroic, like, let's say, like a Billy Elliot movie, like, about a kid who wanted to dance in England, but translated to Palestine, It could be beautiful. There is a lot of possibility in the area, but we must let past the past and build what's possible. Here, in this plan, there is a script. I'm a producer. I get a script. Now we need to get it done. And it's doable. And I think that in the Arab world and in other worlds, like we have the example of Bollywood. Not everybody relate to Captain America and to Avengers. They need to have their own stories. They need to have their own rhetoric. So there is a lot of even economical potential by creating software and copyrights in the region, in Palestine, in the Arab world that relate to different cultures, and people will see it as they see Bollywood movies.
And you could jump a few generations in the information age by doing that.
Absolutely. It's like, you don't have to see in the movies like when you see Palestinian, you don't have to see them dusty, poor. You need to see them bigger than what you think that they are. There is a lot of amazing Palestinian entrepreneurs. There is a lot of amazing Palestinian doctors. There is a lot of, and we don't know about them. So we need to be gutsy and bet on these people and tell their stories. As with football players, we need to go for it.
And one of the bad things we've done in the region over time is the Arabs have always been bad at selling their own propaganda. And understanding why and how that works, and we've all debated and thought about it for a long time. What can we do better as a region? You see every region. You see what works. You see the stories that are told. You see the organization of how it can be defined. What can we do here? Not just Palestine. What can we do in the region?
We can do so much. We can do so much in the region, in Palestine, the Middle East, in the Gulf, of course, in the Arab world more generally. I mean, I know it a little bit, as you mentioned it. I'm proud that Arabic is part of the languages spoken in my house. And I think that their football can help as well. There are a lot of prejudices. Prejudices, you say in English? Yes. There is a lot of prejudice, right? And I think that football can help and can contribute to change the way people look at a certain part of the world. Today, sadly, the Middle East is in the focus for other reasons than positive reasons, often, sadly. And therefore, we are discussing even here about should we invest, should we not invest, security, not security, and this and that. But let's use football as a tool to show what is possible. It is possible. We play football in Palestine. We play football in Lebanon. It is possible. There are nice, beautiful stories to tell, and let's show the world what the Arab world has to offer. We'll have a World Cup in 2022, nearby in Qatar. This will be a World Cup for the whole region, for not only the Gulf region, but for the whole Middle East, for the whole Arab world. And this World Cup, where again 4 billion people will tune in, will show to the world what Arabs are like. Welcoming, open, great food, incredible history, tradition, and this is what we have to bring to the people, and I think that football can certainly play maybe a little role, but an important one.
It'll be the best global window we've had in decades to do that. And stars, why do we not have Arab stars? What happened to Omar Sharif? What happened to the production of not political movies? The problem generally in the Arab world is they're constantly depicted as either terrorists or princely playboys. How do we organize this better to tell the richness of the culture, the gentleness, the tolerance, the beauty of benevolent Islam?
Well, two things. The winner of the Oscar this year, Rami Malek, is of Arab descent. So that's good. That's very good. And second is, at the same time, we need to have all of you from the financial area really betting on this creation of the software for the region and creator and empowering. Even now in Saudi, they're doing this, with the Saudi Renaissance. I saw a filmmaker, Mahmoud Salah, doing contemporary Saudi. So we need to have a lot of people like him doing stories that are normal, that are not showing blood culture or the past or oil-related situations, but day to day. People flirting, the daily life, the problems with the stepmother or with the mother-in-law, things like this, which make people accessible and not create a barrier. And it's doable. I saw it with the African Americans. Again, I'm sorry for repeating myself, and it's fun. It's fun. People can really, you will really enjoy it. Like Roma, the movie Roma, it's a good example. It won the Oscar, but you have a simple story of a Mexican family struggle, and it was beautiful. So why don't we have a Roma in Palestine?
And Johnny, we talked about keeping the line, and you've kept the line and kind of obliterated those normal political boundaries that we had, even with women. And we were talking about a little story. Why don't you share that with the group? I thought that was an amazing incident.
Well, yes, keeping the line, right? Keeping the line means as well defending your convictions, respecting though as well the others who have other convictions. And of course, I don't agree, like all of us, with many things that happen in many parts of the world. So last year I went to Iran for a visit. There was a game, there was a derby of Tehran, and of course I was criticized by some people for going to Iran, mainly because women did not have access to football games. So I went there, I sat down with President Rouhani, and I asked him, with respect, but why women cannot attend football games in Iran? They are football fans. I saw them in the streets. They were wearing the colors and the scarves of the two teams. Why you don't allow them to enter stadiums? And to be fair, he said, well, let's look into that and we see what we can do. 6 months later, team from Tehran qualifies for the Champions League of Asia, which was played then in Tehran. And I was invited again, and of course, I said, well, but we discussed about something 6 months ago. Is this going to happen? And yes, we had more than 1,000 women at the end of the day being able to watch that football game for the first time in 40 years in Iran. It's a little step. It's a little step. But I think you do much more if you speak to people, if you are open about any project that you have, without fear, with respect, with understanding, you can achieve much more than if you sit in your office and you write a nice article and you just try to be popular or populistic about things that actually don't change then something concrete in practice. So this is a little example. There are
not so little,
in
bold.
the story of football.
Really, really bold.
But for the first time in 40 years, right? Women entered stadiums in Iraq.
Amazing.
I fully agree. We have to engage more to pass, to really pass those barriers and to go and to help, especially creating these jobs that are, white-collar jobs that give a lot of stability and peace to the area, and the software, the industry, the animation, everything. So I suggest that we explore about some tax incentives, some grants or something that create these jobs and make people think and dream and project. So it's been doable. Like, for example, I'm shooting a film in Canada now, an American film in Canada, or people went to Czechoslovakia. Why not filming in Palestine?
But this is eventually a component, right? I mean, the Arab world, Tunisia, I think Tariq Ben Ammar kind of invented a business at one point in time in Tunisia, and then it evaporated underneath us. But again, I think part of it is doing what both of you do so well, is creating those heroes and that vision and putting the victimization behind for young people. And look, I know one thing well is not to get between this group and lunch. And I know everybody's dreaming of hummus and tabbouleh and kibbeh after this. But what I'd like to do is to kind of wrap it up with each of your thoughts on the heels of such a bold move that Jared has really put together and taken the initiative to do this against all odds, right? Because the normal response is, look, it's tribes and flags, it's been this way forever, it's never going to change, leave it alone and let it evaporate. So to step into that arena is an amazing accomplishment. After hearing what you've heard in the last couple of days and having the great purchase that both of you have in the world, if you had to summarize in one paragraph the first steps that need to be done on the heels of the bricks of this economic program, what would it be? Johnny?
Well, certainly never give up, right? There is this fantastic thing in football, which is a mindset thing, which is when you win a game, when you win a match, you are in a good mood. And you are in a good mood until the next match. When you lose a match, you are in a bad mood. But you are in a bad mood for an hour or two or maybe a day because you know that the next match is coming and you want to win that next match. So you get up and you fight and you go. So never give up is certainly one way. When I think about what football itself can contribute in this, which I think it should, I mean, the football economy is booming. It's huge. In the last decade, it grew with double than any other economy in the world in a period of crisis. It's 200 billion gross output. I mean, it's amazing figures, 130 billion gross value added around the world, and 70% of that is generated in Europe. So with the passion and the means that are around the world, which are untapped, in particular as well in this region, there is an incredible potential. So let's give, to be very concrete as well, some hope, some dreams. How can we do that? Well, I don't know. In Palestine, we have less than 25 football pitches for 5 million people. Let's build pitches, even small ones, mini pitches. A mini pitch costs $50,000 with illumination, solar energy, so the kids can play even at night. Well, we will do our part at FIFA. Let's join and let's do something tangible, concrete that people can see. And when kids play football, first they smile, and secondly, they don't do other things, right? And you can also then use football to help in the educational programs, which I think is, again, something that the world needs.
Yeah, beautiful and concrete. Last word?
For me, I think that the word that I will use is possibility, that it's possible, and there is a lot of possibilities in the area. Just the fact that I'm here, an Argentinian guy speaking to this audience, it means possibility, like how come I came from so far, did what I did in my life, and I'm here. So for the population of Palestinians, it's possible to create a future without looking at the past, without neglecting the past, but really imagining great things for them.
Beautiful. Well, this is a great way to have given the dessert before lunch. Thank you both. Thank you to Jared and Secretary Mnuchin and all of you for being here, because without you, possibilities wouldn't exist and the vision wouldn't exist. So
Great conference.
here's to peace and prosperity. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.